The sun was setting over Bali, casting a warm golden glow over the shores of Denpasar. I had survived the vibrant nightlife, tasted the spicy local cuisine, and danced on the beach until dawn. But as beautiful as Bali was, I felt a restless stirring in my heart, urging me to seek new horizons. It was a call for adventure, a whisper that there were more stories waiting to be uncovered beyond the tropical paradise. That's when the names Surabaya and Bandung popped into my mind. Why Surabaya? The second largest city in Indonesia, it promised a blend of history, culture, and modernity. I imagined myself wandering through its bustling markets, sampling street food that would tantalize my taste buds, and exploring the rich Javanese culture. And Bandung, with its cooler climate and vibrant art scene, was the perfect contrast to Bali's sunny beaches. I could already envision myself sipping coffee in quaint cafes, surrounded by the beauty of its natural landscapes. The thought alone sparked excitement coursing through my veins. But there was a voice, a nagging feeling that entered my mind. Did I really want to leave the comfort I found in Bali? The inner struggle echoed within me, planting seeds of doubt. I was comfortable here, cocooned in my Bali experience, and the unknown loomed ahead like a dark cloud. I reminded myself that comfort zones were meant to be challenged, and beyond the realm of familiarity lay adventure and discovery. After long moments of contemplation, I made my decision. I would go to Surabaya and Bandung. As I prepared for the journey, I delved into research on what awaited me. Surabaya was a city steeped in history, and I was particularly intrigued by the House of Sampurna, a museum and cigarette factory where I could witness the art of kretek making, a tradition that filled the air with fragrant smoke. I could visualize the workers, their hands deftly rolling the cloves and tobacco, belonging to a craftsmanship that spoke volumes of Indonesia's heritage. Next on my list was Suramada Bridge, an engineering marvel connecting the islands of Java and Madura. I imagined myself standing on the bridge, the wind tousling my hair as I gazed down at the sea, contemplating the vastness of life. And then there was the Clown Cemetery, a quirky and rather darkly humorous attraction. I felt a grin spread across my face. If there were stories to be told, they would surely leap from the tombstones of that haunting yet oddly charming burial site. Bandung, on the other hand, was known for its colorful street art and breathtaking landscapes. I aimed to visit the famous Braga Street, where colonial architecture stood as a reminder of days gone by. I could already feel the Instagram-worthy moments surfacing, the vibrant murals awaiting my eager eyes. There was also Tangkuban Parahu, a volcanic crag looming in the distance, promising both awe and a dash of thrill. I could spend hours there, hiking through the lush trails, staring into the crater, breathing in the earthy essence of the mountain. A beautiful reminder of nature's stunning power. My anticipation grew, but so did the anxiety creeping in. Would I handle the cultural shifts? The hustle and bustle of city life in Surabaya was worlds away from the tranquility of Bali. Would I find myself lost amidst the throng? Nonetheless, I pushed through these thoughts, compiling a list of phrases in Bahasa Indonesia to help me navigate the language barrier. I could almost hear the rhythm of the words, practicing their sounds aloud, a personal soundtrack to my journey. The flight from Bali to Surabaya was short, but my heart raced as we descended through clouds, the sprawling cityscape unfurling below me. Landing in Surabaya felt surreal. My adventure was shifting gears. As I stepped into the airport, the heat hit me, mingling with the excitement in my veins. I headed straight for the local street vendors, who beckoned to me with delicious aromas. The first bite of soto ayam, a traditional chicken soup, was an explosion of flavors, and I chuckled in delight, enjoying how it simultaneously warmed my body and soul. With a map in hand and my spirit alight, I made my way to the House of Sampurna. The vibrant murals lining the entrance welcomed me like old friends, and inside, the museum was a treasure trove of history. I listened intently to the guide about the origins of kretek, soaking in every detail as though it were the fuel to my own adventurous fire. When I saw the workers at the factory, their hands moving with purpose, I felt a connection to something deeper, the understanding that every craft tells a story, and every person plays a part within that narrative. Next, I ventured over to Suramada Bridge. As I stood on the bridge, watching the waves crash below, the sun began to dip beneath the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. I felt a swell of gratitude. This was a moment I wouldn't trade for anything. It was in that quiet solitude, amidst the hustle of the world around me, that I truly understood the beauty of traveling. It wasn't just about visiting places. It was about feeling deeply alive. The clown cemetery was as eerie as it was intriguing. The laughter of children from the nearby park echoed faintly in the distance, contrasting sharply against the somber gravestones. I roamed among the colorful, cartoonishly painted graves, my thoughts drifting. It struck me how life and death are intertwined, with joy and sadness coexisting in unexpected ways. I snapped photos, not to make light of the situation, but to appreciate a place that sparked profound reflections about existence. After 2 thrilling days in Surabaya, I prepared for my next leg to Bandung, filled with the anticipation of what lay ahead. The journey through the lush hills was mesmerizing, each twist in the road revealing another stunning landscape. As the cooler air caressed my face, I felt the weight of the previous city lift, replaced by the invigorating freshness of nature. Arriving in Bandung, I was greeted by its vibrant streets decorated with art that seemed to pulse with the same energy I felt. Braga Street captivated me, with its blend of art, history, and lively cafes. Every corner I turned revealed a new mural, a new story. I wandered into one particularly quaint cafe, where I settled down with a cup of local coffee, feeling a deep sense of contentment wash over me. The barista engaged me in conversation, shared local legends, and soon, I was enthralled, learning not just about the coffee but about the culture, the folklore, and the people. The highlight of my banding adventure was Tangkuban Parahu. The hike was challenging, but each step forward was laden with anticipation. When I reached the crater's rim, my breath caught in my throat. The sight was surreal. I stood at the edge of a colossal caldera, and the earth seemed to breathe beneath me. The vastness made me feel small, reminding me that amid all my inquiries and pursuits, I was part of a greater tapestry woven with threads of nature's wonders. As the sun began to set behind the mountains, the sky transformed into an extraordinary display of colors. It was at that moment I understood why I had ventured out into the world beyond Bali. The adventures I had experienced in Surabaya and Bandung revealed something essential to me, a reminder of who I was, what I was capable of, and how beautiful it was to embrace the unknown. In the quiet moments of reflection as I headed back to Bali, I felt a profound change within me. Each city, each encounter had unexpectedly challenged my perspectives and expanded my understanding of life. I had ventured out in search of adventure, but what I found was a richer world full of stories waiting to be told. With memories fresh and my heart full, I knew this was just the beginning. Each journey opens doors to new destinations, and I could already feel my wanderlust stirring again. The world is vast, full of tales yearning to be explored, and adventure is always just beyond the horizon. When I arrived in Surabaya, Indonesia, the first thing that hit me was the sheer intensity of the scene before my eyes. The air was thick with humidity, filled with a mix of scents from street food stalls and flowers that bloomed vibrantly in the tropical climate. As I stepped out of the airport, the noise enveloped me. The honks of motorbikes, the chatter of people, and the distant sounds of gamelan music created a cacophony that was both exhilarating and overwhelming. At that moment, an electrical surge of fear coursed through me. I had traveled far from home, leaving behind the familiar comforts of my routine. The bustling streets and foreign language felt like a maze I was ill-equipped to navigate. Doubts slinked into my mind. What if I got lost? What if I couldn't communicate with anyone? Yet, the intoxicating atmosphere also ignited a spark of excitement within me. I was in a new country, ready to immerse myself in a culture that was entirely different from my own. As I took my first steps into Surabaya, the vibrant colors of the market stalls captured my attention. Each sign was adorned with intricate designs and bold lettering, some of which I could not decipher but found beautiful nonetheless. I felt like a child in a candy store, my eyes wide and my heart racing. Euphoria washed over me as I ventured towards a local food stall, the aroma of grilled satay wafting through the air. The vendor greeted me with a warm smile, and despite the language barrier, his gestures were welcoming. With each bite of the tender, spiced meat, I felt that initial fear ebb away. The flavors exploded in my mouth, sweet, spicy, and savory, all at once. This was a far cry from anything I had ever tasted back home. As I savored the experience, my doubts began to fade, replaced by a sense of belonging. I realized that, though I was in an unfamiliar place, every moment was a new opportunity for discovery. Wandering through the city, I stumbled upon the historical sites that Surabaya proudly displayed. The Grand House of Sampurna, a former cigarette factory turned museum, caught my eye. I was inspired by the rich history woven into the fabric of the city. The stories housed within those walls whispered of resilience and cultural pride, resonating deep within me. I took a moment to reflect. Traveling was not solely about the destination. It was about the journey, the lessons learned along the way, and the connections made with people from diverse backgrounds. As the day drew to a close, the sky transformed into a canvas of oranges and purples. I found myself at the banks of the Surabaya River, surrounded by locals enjoying the cool evening breeze. Here, under the fading light, I felt a powerful sense of introspection. My heart swelled with joy and gratitude for the experiences unfolding before me. The initial fears and doubts had been replaced by an exhilarating sense of adventure. The following day, I made my way to Bandung. The journey was picturesque, filled with lush green hills and the sound of nature all around. Arriving in this cooler climate felt refreshing, almost like a warm embrace. The blend of nostalgia for home and excitement for what was to come whipped around me like a gentle wind. Exploring the streets of Bandung was a dream. The vibrant street art, the fashionable shops showcasing local designers, and quaint cafes playing soft indie music created an ambience that was incredibly inviting. I found myself pausing at each corner, delighting in the creativity that seemed to flourish everywhere. A sense of inspiration coursed through me. I pulled out my journal and began to jot down my thoughts, capturing the essence of this new place. Amid the beauty, there were moments where the pang of homesickness crept in, especially during the quieter times when I found myself alone with my thoughts. I missed my friends and family, the familiar faces and voices that had always been a source of comfort. But these moments also pushed me to connect with new people. Each conversation I struck up with locals taught me something about their lives and their dreams. It broadened my perspective and made the distance from home feel less lonely. As my days in Bandung unfolded, I wandered through tea plantations, took in vistas that seemed to stretch endlessly, and participated in traditional dance performances. Each experience felt incredibly rich and layered, filling me with a deep appreciation for the unique culture that surrounded me. My inspiration blossomed further as I absorbed the resilience and warmth of the people I met. The initial fears that had once clouded my journey were now mere shadows, fading into the background of my remarkable adventure. By the time I concluded my travels in Indonesia, I felt transformed. The myriad of emotions, fear, ecstasy, doubt, and inspiration had colored my experiences in profound ways. I returned home carrying not just souvenirs but stories that added depth to my understanding of the world. Surabaya and Bandung had been more than destinations. They had been chapters in a greater narrative of exploration, connection, and personal growth. Each footstep I took became a part of the tapestry of my journey, intricately woven into the fabric of who I am now. As I arrived in Surabaya, Indonesia, I could feel the pulsating energy of the city engulfing me like a warm embrace. The vibrant streets were alive with the honks of motorbikes and the chatter of people bustling about their daily lives. The air was thick with a medley of scents, fragrant street food sizzling on grills, the sweet aroma of tropical fruits, and hints of spices swirling through the air. I was both excited and apprehensive. Surabaya, a city of contrasts, offered a glimpse into a culture that was so different from my own. Wandering through the markets, I found myself surrounded by countless stalls adorned with an array of colorful goods. Batik fabrics hung like paintings waiting to be appreciated, while sellers beckoned with smiles that radiated warmth. I tried to engage with them, feeling a sliver of frustration at the language barrier that veiled my attempts at connection. My elementary knowledge of Bahasa Indonesia helped, but more often than not, I fumbled in conversation, gesturing theatrically to communicate my needs. Despite the occasional miscommunication, the locals were patient, and their kindness shone through. The sounds were an orchestra of life, laughter ringing from groups of friends, the energetic calls of street vendors, and the distant harmonies of traditional music playing from a nearby cafe. As I strolled through the streets, I couldn't help but be enchanted by the rhythm of the city. With each passing day, I found myself slowly adapting to this new environment, learning to appreciate the slow pace of life contrasted with the fast-moving chaos of the streets. It reminded me of how I once felt in my hometown, before life took on a different urgency. Food became a gateway to understanding the culture. The moment I dared to try nasi goreng at a small eatery, I was swept away by the explosion of flavors. The spicy kick of sambal danced on my tongue, blending with the savory notes of fried rice and tender chicken. Each bite was a revelation, a journey into the heart of Indonesian culinary traditions. I faced some challenges, of course. The fire of chilies tested my limits, and I found myself reaching for water more often than not. Yet the thrill of discovery overshadowed any discomfort. In Bandung, the hills offered a stunning contrast to Surabaya's urban landscapes. The cool breeze engulfed me as I ventured through its tea plantations, the verdant greenery bringing a sense of tranquility that I desperately needed. Hiking through the lush terrain, surrounded by locals who shared their stories of life in the mountains, I felt a growing sense of belonging, even in my solitude. Each conversation, marked with laughter and gestures, built an invisible bridge between us, tethering our vastly different worlds together. Despite the beauty around me, I couldn't escape the shadows of loneliness that sometimes crept in, wrapping me in their tendrils. Late at night, when the streets quieted down and the buzz of the day faded, I felt the weight of being a stranger in a foreign land. I missed the familiarity of home, the cadence of conversations with friends, and the comfort of being understood. Yet, these moments also became reflections of my growth, pushing me to embrace vulnerability and seek connection in ways I hadn't considered before. Navigating public transport, I learned the art of the unspoken. Observing the way locals interacted, from friendly smiles to shared spaces in crowded Bemo minivans, I absorbed their customs. I initiated conversations with those around me, despite the fear of making mistakes. Through shared laughter and genuine curiosity, I began to collect fragments of their stories, each a thread weaving me deeper into the cultural tapestry of Indonesia. Adapting to the lifestyle here was a challenge in itself. There were moments when I felt overwhelmed by the cacophony of life, as the streets pulsed with activity at all hours. The bright colors of sarongs draped elegantly on women and the calls of the azan echoing from nearby mosques were constant reminders of the culture I found myself enveloped in. I started to appreciate the significance of these rituals, the respect for tradition that shaped their daily lives. As I navigated the intricacies of life in Surabaya and Bandung, my initial fears transformed into a sense of adventure. I began to see each obstacle as an opportunity to learn. The language barrier dissipated slightly as I picked up more phrases, practicing with local friends who joyfully corrected my pronunciation and encouraged my attempts. The smiles shared became a universal language, transcending words. Through these everyday experiences, I found strength in humility. I learned to open my heart to new ways of living, savoring moments that filled the blank spaces of my fears with joy. I'd sit on the side of the road enjoying a cool drink while watching the world unfold around me, allowing myself to simply exist in this beautiful chaos. As my journey unfolded further, each day became a canvas painted with the colors of my experiences, the taste of new foods, the melodies of different languages, and the laughter shared with newfound friends. Surabaya and Bandung transformed from mere destinations into parts of the story of my life, shaping my understanding of connection, resilience, and the beauty found in stepping outside of one's comfort zone. It was in this vibrant tapestry of life that I truly began to understand what it meant to be a part of something greater, embracing the kaleidoscope of humanity in all its glorious unpredictability. My journey through Surabaya and Bandung in Indonesia was filled with vibrant sights, sounds, and experiences that lingered in my memory long after I returned home. I started in Surabaya, a bustling metropolis known as the second largest city in Indonesia and a crucial port city in East Java. As soon as I arrived, I was greeted by the bustling streets filled with scooters, vibrant markets, and the aroma of local delicacies wafting through the air. One of my first stops was the iconic Saramata Bridge, a stunning structure that stretches over the Madura Strait, connecting Surabaya to Madura Island. Walking along the bridge, I was mesmerized by the panoramic views of the sea and the city skyline. The sheer engineering marvel of the bridge stood testament to Indonesia's ambition and modernity. Next, I ventured to the Heroes Monument, or Tugu Pahlawan, which commemorates the heroes of the Indonesian National Revolution. The monument, surrounded by beautiful gardens, allowed me to reflect on the history and struggles of the nation. I found myself captivated by the stories etched into the walls, each one telling tales of bravery and sacrifice. The solemnity of the place was a stark contrast to the vibrant energy of the city outside. As I wandered the streets, I stumbled upon the Chenghu Mosque, a beautiful blend of Chinese and Islamic architecture. Its serene ambience invited me in for a moment of peace. Inside, I admired the intricate motifs that adorned the walls, reflecting a rich cultural heritage. It was a unique spot that showcased the diversity of Indonesia's population, embodying the harmony between different cultures. While Surabaya had its well-known attractions, I also found joy in exploring local markets. The Pasar Adam Market was a treasure trove of vibrant fabrics, traditional snacks, and handmade crafts. I spent hours wandering through the colorful stalls, sampling sweet delicacies and bargaining with friendly vendors. The atmosphere was electric, with the sounds of haggling and laughter echoing through the corridors. As my time in Surabaya came to an end, I took an early train to Bandung, a city renowned for its cooler climate, lush landscapes, and a youthful energy that captivated me. Arriving in Bandung, I was immediately struck by the stunning backdrop of volcanic hills and tea plantations that surrounded the city. I could already feel the difference in temperature, and it revitalized me for the adventures ahead. One of my first excursions was to the famous Tangkuban Parahu volcano, located just outside the city. The trip was exhilarating as we drove through winding roads enveloped by misty mountains. Standing at the lip of the crater, I was awed by the steam rising from the ground and the vibrant blue hues of the crater lake. The landscape was surreal, a reminder of nature's raw power. I took plenty of photos, trying to capture the otherworldly beauty of the site. After exploring the volcano, I took a trip to the Lembang floating market. This delightful market, situated on a lake, offered me a chance to relish local delicacies, like the sweet and savory cucumber and grilled corn on the cob, all while floating on a traditional boat. I meandered through the market, greeted by friendly locals selling their goods from wooden boats, and enjoyed the ambience of laughter and chatter amidst the picturesque surroundings. I also visited the historical Villa Isola, a striking building that served as a school during the colonial era. The architecture was a charming blend of Art Deco and Indonesian styles, making it an intriguing stop. Walking through the gardens, I marveled at the tales of the villa's past and its significance in Indonesian history. A major highlight of my time in Bandung was Bandung's famous culinary scene, which exceeded my expectations. I took part in a local food tour that introduced me to the wonders of Sundanese cuisine. One restaurant stood out, serving nasi liwet, a fragrant rice dish cooked with coconut milk and spices, served with a variety of side dishes. The flavors were incredibly rich and satisfying, offering a true taste of the region. I spent a leisurely afternoon at the amazing farmhouse Lembang, a whimsical theme park that transported me to a European countryside. The charming wooden cottages, flower gardens, and farm animals created a picturesque setting. I took snapshots while donning playful costumes and enjoyed a delicious strawberry milkshake made from fresh strawberries grown on site. As my trip dwindled, I made a final stop at the Gedung Sate, the iconic government building characterized by its unique feature, a satay skewer atop its roof. The structure's architecture was a harmonious blend of Dutch colonial influences and local artistry, making it a fascinating landmark. The surrounding park was a great spot to relax and reflect on my journey, surrounded by Bandung's locals enjoying the day. Every location I visited in Surabaya and Bandung had a story and allure of its own. I left with a heart full of warmth from the people I met, the breathtaking landscapes I explored, and a deep appreciation for Indonesia's rich culture. The memories of this vibrant adventure accompanied me long after my return, leaving me eager for the next exploration of the beautiful world around us. The sun was just beginning to set, casting a warm golden glow over the bustling city as I stepped out onto the sidewalk, my heart racing with a mix of excitement and anxiety. My journey was about to take me into the labyrinth of public transportation, a web of buses, subways, and trains that crisscrossed the urban landscape. I clutched the crumpled map in my hands, trying to remember the routes I had studied the night before. I could hear the distant roar of engines and the chatter of pedestrians rushing past me, each person wrapped up in their own world, their own story. When I found the bus stop, I felt the tension in my shoulders ease a little. The bright yellow bus arrived with a hiss of air brakes, and I climbed aboard, feeling like I had crossed a threshold into a new reality. The hum of conversation filled the air, and I quickly found a seat by the window. I watched the city roll by, the streetlights flickering to life as darkness began to settle. There was something comforting about the rhythm of the urban landscape, but beneath that comfort lay a sense of uncertainty. As the bus lurched forward, I struck up a conversation with an older gentleman who sat next to me. His weathered face broke into a smile, revealing a wealth of stories etched into his features. He talked about his life in the city, the places he had seen, and the incredible friends he had made along the way. For a moment, my fears melted away, replaced by the warmth of shared experiences. I felt a connection with him, a reminder that we were all just travelers navigating the complexities of life. Yet, as the bus took a turn down a dimly lit street, the mood shifted. The man's eyes darkened as he recounted tales of danger and misfortune lurking in the city's shadows. I could feel the hairs on my neck stand up as he described encounters with unsavory characters. A chill ran through me, and I found myself questioning whether I was equipped to handle the challenges ahead. We reached my stop, and I stepped off the bus, the cool night air wrapping around me like a shroud. I was grateful for the man's stories, but they had painted the city with a brush of fear I hadn't felt before. I glanced around, noticing the dimly lit alleyways and the way the shadows seemed to pulse with life. My heart raced again, but I pushed myself to breathe deeply, reminding myself of the excitement that still lay ahead. After a few wrong turns and a few anxious glances over my shoulder, I finally arrived at a local cafe that had been recommended to me. The aroma of fresh coffee and baked goods filled the air, and as I took a seat, I allowed myself to relax for the first time that evening. It was here that I met Lily, a spirited artist with a wild mane of curls and a personality to match. We struck up an instant friendship, our laughter ringing out over the clinking of cups and the quiet murmur of conversation around us. Lily introduced me to her circle of friends, an eclectic mix of musicians, writers, and dreamers who filled the cafe with life and energy. For a moment, I felt invincible, as if the fears that had clung to me like a shadow were swept away by the excitement of new friendships and shared dreams. We swapped stories about our lives, our aspirations, and our occasional moments of despair. It was liberating to know that I wasn't alone in feeling lost sometimes. But that evening took an unexpected turn. As we left the cafe, a sudden commotion erupted nearby. A group of individuals, their voices raised in anger, caught my attention. I felt the weight of fear settle in my stomach as I exchanged worried glances with Lily and her friends. We instinctively moved away, but the feeling of vulnerability lingered, slotting back into place as reality hit. In that moment, my internal conflict surged. The desire for adventure battled against the instinct to seek safety. I wanted to run, to escape the uncertainty that the city had thrust upon me, but Lily grabbed my hand, her grip firm and reassuring. "Don't let it scare you," she urged, her eyes sparkling. "This city is alive, and sometimes that means facing challenges. You'll grow stronger for it." Suddenly, I felt a rush of determination fill me, igniting a fire that I thought had dimmed. I was here to experience life, to dive into the chaos, not to shy away from it. In the following weeks, I found myself bonded to this new group of friends in ways I hadn't anticipated. We explored every corner of the city, from its hidden parks to its vibrant street art. We laughed, shared meals, and uncovered each other's secrets. Yet, the specter of danger was always lurking at the edges. I heard more stories of close calls, of people facing unexpected confrontations that threatened to derail their experiences. One evening, as we were walking home from a concert, we crossed paths with a group of rowdy individuals. A fight broke out just a few feet away, and I felt my heart race wildly. Adrenaline surged through me, and for a split second, I froze. My mind replayed every cautionary story I had heard, every warning ringing loud in my ears. But the warmth of camaraderie kept me rooted in place, my friends rallying together, ready to face whatever challenge we encountered. We moved aside and let the chaos pass, united in our resolve not to be swept away by fear. Though we faced those unpredictable moments, they only deepened our bonds. We learned to trust one another, to be each other's safety nets. Slowly, I began to embrace the unpredictability, the unexpected twists of our adventures. The city was full of both light and darkness, laughter and fear, and somewhere in the middle, I found a sense of belonging. The last few months had transformed me. The confident person I was becoming began to overshadow the anxious individual who had stepped off the bus on that first day. I learned that every twist and turn held the possibility of new relationships and experiences. Even in the face of danger, there was power in the connections we forged. I was not just a solitary traveler navigating a city. I was a part of something bigger, an evolving narrative filled with unexpected friendships and thrilling adventures. As I reflected on my journey, I felt a surge of gratitude. Yes, the city posed challenges, and there were moments when I was scared and unsure, but the connections that blossomed amid the chaos had ignited a light within me. I had faced my fears and emerged stronger, not just with memories of adventures, but with a vibrant tapestry of stories shared with friends who had become family. Together, we were writing our own stories, one adventure at a time, and I was ready to see where the next chapter would lead. In the bustling streets of Surabaya, Indonesia, I found myself immersed in a vibrant tapestry of cultures, languages, and flavors. The air was thick with the scent of street food, a delightful mix of spices and sweetness that beckoned me to indulge. As I wandered through markets overflowing with colorful textiles and handmade crafts, I felt an exhilarating sense of adventure wash over me. Little did I know that this trip would lead me to an experience that would forever alter my perspective on life. One sun-drenched afternoon, I stumbled upon a small local cafe, its walls adorned with photographs of the city's history. Eager to escape the heat, I ordered a traditional Javanese coffee. While I waited, I struck up a conversation with the cafe owner, a kind-eyed woman named Lila. She spoke passionately about her hometown and the unique challenges it faced. She shared stories of resilience, community spirit, and the beauty of diversity that defined Surabaya. Inspired by her words, I decided to make the most of my stay. Later that week, I ventured to a nearby village. En route, I met a group of artists who were preparing for a cultural festival. They invited me to join their creative process, and I found myself painting a mural that symbolized unity. The colors flowed effortlessly from my brush, reflecting the warmth of the people around me. As I painted, laughter echoed, and for a moment, I forgot about the world outside. It felt like a sanctuary where differences melted away, leaving only the bond of shared humanity. The next leg of my journey took me to Bandung, surrounded by rolling hills and a refreshing climate. I was eager to explore the natural beauty that the city had to offer. On my first day, I embarked on a hiking expedition up Tangkuban Parahu, an active volcano known for its stunning crater. The trek was challenging, filled with steep inclines and rugged paths, but each step brought forth breathtaking views. When I finally reached the summit, gasping for breath, I was rewarded not only with a panoramically beautiful landscape, but also a profound sense of accomplishment. While in Bandung, I met a diverse group of travelers at a local backpacker hostel. We shared tales of our own adventures and dreams, forming an unexpected bond over our collective wanderlust. One evening, a spontaneous idea emerged to visit a nearby hot spring that was renowned for its therapeutic properties. The journey was filled with laughter and a sense of camaraderie that made the experience all the more enjoyable. Arriving at the hot springs, I was captivated by the serene beauty of the surroundings. The water, steaming gently, beckoned us to unwind. As I slipped into the warm waters, I felt every muscle in my body relax. It was as if the stresses of everyday life evaporated with the steam rising into the air. In that moment, I reflected on the experiences I had, the people I had met, and the lessons I had learned. I realized that life is not just about the destinations we reach, but the connections we forge along the way. But my adventure was far from over. One night, sitting around a campfire with my new friends, we shared our aspirations and fears. A young artist from Brazil, named Mateo, expressed his desire to showcase his work to the world. Inspired by his passion, I suggested organizing an art exhibition that would combine our cultures. The idea ignited enthusiasm among the group, and we spent the next few days brainstorming and creating art that represented our unique stories. On the night before our exhibition, as we fine-tuned our pieces, I received a mysterious message on my phone. It was an invitation to a secret gathering in the heart of Bandung, where creatives from various backgrounds would come together to forge connections and collaborate on future projects. The more I learned, the more intrigued I became. I felt drawn to this opportunity, recognizing that this could be a pivotal moment in my journey. The exhibition was a resounding success, filled with colorful displays and live performances. As the night unfolded, I felt a sense of fulfillment, witnessing the magic that happened when diverse minds unite for a common goal. However, the allure of the secret gathering nagged at me, and I couldn't shake the thought of what lay beyond that door. Finally, I decided to venture out alone during the wee hours, leaving my newfound friends to celebrate. The streets were eerily quiet, lit only by the soft glow of lanterns. I followed a series of clues that led me to an unassuming alleyway, finally arriving at an inconspicuous entrance that seemed to pulse with possibility. When I stepped inside, my heart raced and my senses heightened. Inside, I was enveloped by an ambience of creativity, where musicians, poets, and painters shared their talents in an intimate setting. The energy was electric. Every corner of the room showcased vibrancy and innovation. I mingled with artists from around the globe, exchanging ideas and finding inspiration in their stories. It was exhilarating, yet surreal. In that moment, I understood that the world was vast, overflowing with opportunities. As the night wore on, I connected with a filmmaker who shared stories of his travels and the documentaries he had created. An unexpected spark ignited within me as he talked about using art to bring about change. I realized that my adventure wasn't just about exploring new places, but also about using my own experiences to inspire others. When I finally returned to the hostel at dawn, my heart was full and my mind raced with ideas. My journey in Indonesia had shifted something deep within me. I was no longer just a traveler seeking adventure, but a storyteller eager to connect and share. Days later, as I boarded my flight home, I felt grateful for the lessons learned from the people I met along the way. The experience fundamentally changed my outlook on life. I understood that every moment, every interaction, carries the potential to impact others in ways we can't foresee. However, as the plane ascended into the sky, I caught sight of a large map positioned near the emergency exit. It sparked a flicker of curiosity inside me. I felt an inexplicable pull towards a region I hadn't considered before. An idea began brewing, one that whispered promises of new experiences and connections. Little did I know that my next adventure was just waiting around the corner, beckoning to be explored. Thanks for joining this adventure. If you enjoyed the journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing travels. Where are we heading next? Stay tuned to find out. See you in the next adventure.